Victor Ramirez believed one thing his entire life: if you work harder than everyone else, success becomes inevitable. That belief woke him up at 4:30 every morning in a tiny apartment on the south side of Chicago. It pushed him through double shifts, sleepless nights, and years of exhaustion. And it nearly destroyed his life. Because nobody told him the truth. Hard work can build your future, but blind hard work can bury you in place. Victor learned that lesson the hard way. The alarm screamed in the darkness. 4:30 a.m. Victor slapped it silent before it woke his younger brother sleeping in the next room. The apartment smelled like old coffee, laundry detergent, and stress. Outside the window, the streets were still wet from overnight rain. The city hadn't even started breathing yet. But Victor already had his boots on. At 28 years old, his hands looked 45. Rough skin. Tiny scars. Nails permanently stained from warehouse grease. He worked at a shipping warehouse near the industrial edge of Chicago. 10-hour shifts loading freight trucks. Sometimes 12, sometimes 14 during busy seasons. People respected him there. Managers loved him. Co-workers called him Machine. Because Victor never stopped moving. Never complained. Never slowed down. But nobody knew something important. Victor was drowning financially. Every month looked the same. Work harder. Earn more. Still broke. His paycheck disappeared into rent, bills, debt, gas, groceries, and helping his mother with medical expenses. He kept telling himself, one more year like this and everything changes. But 1 year became 5. And 5 became 8. Meanwhile, something tortured him every night. The people getting ahead around him weren't working harder than him. Some worked less. Some barely looked stressed. Yet somehow they kept winning. That thought ate at him like acid. One freezing November evening, Victor sat alone inside a cheap diner near the warehouse. His shoulders ached so badly he could barely lift his coffee mug. Across from him sat Marcus, an older truck driver nearing retirement. Marcus had calm eyes. The kind of eyes people only get after surviving hard decades. "You look exhausted," Marcus said. Victor laughed weakly. "That's because I'm working." "No," Marcus replied. "You're surviving." Victor frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Marcus stirred his coffee slowly. "You think effort alone changes lives?" Victor leaned back. "Doesn't it?" Marcus smiled sadly. "That's what poor people get taught." The words hit Victor like an insult. He almost got angry. But Marcus continued. "You know what most hard-working people never learn?" Victor stayed silent. Marcus pointed toward the highway outside the diner window. "Imagine 2 men driving all night. One's pushing 120 miles an hour in the wrong direction. The other's driving 60 in the right direction. Who wins?" Victor didn't answer. "Hard work matters," Marcus said. "But direction matters more." Victor scoffed. "Easy to say." Marcus nodded. "You're right. Because nobody teaches direction to people busy trying to survive." That sentence followed Victor home. It followed him into bed. It followed him into another brutal week. Direction. What did that even mean? 3 weeks later, Victor suffered his first panic attack. It happened inside the warehouse. Forklifts beeped. Workers shouted. Boxes slammed against metal pallets. Victor suddenly couldn't breathe. His chest tightened. Sweat poured down his neck. For a terrifying moment, he thought he was dying. The company nurse sat him down in a cold office and told him to rest. But rest felt impossible. Because resting meant losing hours. And losing hours meant losing money. That night Victor sat alone in his parked car beside Lake Michigan staring at black water under city lights. His hands trembled against the steering wheel. He whispered something he had never admitted before. I'm tired. Not physically. Soul tired. The dangerous kind. The next morning, Victor did something unusual. He didn't pick up overtime. Instead, he went to the public library downtown. At first he felt embarrassed being there. Like he didn't belong. Most people rushed past him carrying laptops or business books while Victor still wore his warehouse hoodie and work boots. But then he noticed something. The successful people sitting inside weren't necessarily working harder. They were learning differently. Studying systems. Money. Communication. Technology. Negotiation. Leadership. Victor realized something painful. For years he had trained himself only to work harder, never to become more valuable. That realization cracked open his worldview. Over the next few months, Victor created a new routine. He still worked long shifts. But every night he studied for 2 hours before sleeping. At first it was brutal. His eyes burned from exhaustion. Sometimes he fell asleep at the kitchen table. But slowly his mindset changed. Instead of asking, how can I work more? He started asking, how can I work smarter? That single question changed everything. One evening Marcus introduced Victor to a small logistics business owner named Elena. She owned a regional freight coordination company in Dallas and was visiting Chicago for meetings. Victor expected another rich person disconnected from reality. Instead, Elena surprised him. She listened carefully. Asked questions. Observed everything. At one point she asked him, how many departments in your warehouse can you operate? Victor answered proudly. All of them. Elena nodded. That's valuable. Victor shrugged. Not really. I still barely survive. She leaned forward. Because you're selling labor. Not solutions. Victor blinked. What's the difference? A laborer gets paid for time, she said. A problem solver gets paid for results. That sentence hit even harder than Marcus's advice. Victor suddenly understood why he felt trapped. No matter how hard he worked, he was still exchanging hours for survival. And hours have limits. Elena offered Victor something unexpected. A chance. Not charity. A chance. She needed someone reliable to help improve shipping efficiency inside her growing company. The pay wasn't dramatically higher at first. But the opportunity was different. Victor hesitated. Leaving the warehouse terrified him. The warehouse was miserable, but familiar. Fear whispered dangerous things. What if you fail? What if you're not smart enough? What if hard work is the only thing you're good at? For 2 weeks Victor couldn't decide. Then something happened. A younger worker collapsed during a night shift from exhaustion. Watching paramedics while the man away shook Victor deeply. Because he saw himself on that stretcher. A future version of himself. Still working endlessly. Still replaceable. Still trapped. That night Victor made his decision. Leaving Chicago felt like tearing away part of his identity. His mother cried quietly before he left. His brother hugged him hard. Victor drove south for nearly 15 hours toward Dallas carrying everything he owned in the back of his aging car. Fear sat beside him the whole drive. But so did possibility. For the first time in years, Victor wasn't just working. He was moving toward something. Dallas moved differently. Faster. Sharper. Competitive. Elena's company operated like a machine built on systems, communication, and strategy. Victor felt outmatched immediately. Meetings overwhelmed him. Software confused him. Professional conversations made him feel uneducated. During his second week, he almost quit, but Elena stopped him. You think successful people feel confident all the time? She asked. Victor stayed silent. They don't. They adapt faster. That became Victor's new obsession. Adaptation. Not just effort. Not just endurance. Growth. Months passed. Victor studied constantly. Leadership books. Business operations. Negotiation. Supply chain systems. He learned something powerful: most people stay stuck because they only strengthen their labor, not their thinking. And thinking creates leverage. Leverage changes lives. Victor began improving delivery systems inside the company. Small ideas at first. Better scheduling routes. Reducing wasted fuel costs. Improving communication between drivers and dispatchers. Small improvements created massive results. For the first time in his life, Victor wasn't valuable because he worked hardest. He became valuable because he solved expensive problems. And that changed his income completely. One night after work, Victor stood alone on a rooftop overlooking downtown Dallas. The skyline glowed gold against the darkness. A year earlier he had been collapsing mentally inside a warehouse. Now he finally understood the truth nobody taught him growing up. Hard work is important, but hard work without strategy becomes a trap. You can spend your entire life exhausted, and still stay in the same place. Because success isn't only about effort. It's about direction. Skills. Relationships. Thinking. Opportunity. Timing. Courage. And most importantly, knowing when to stop trading your life only for survival. Victor stared across the city lights and whispered, "I finally get it now." But his biggest challenge was still coming. Because success changes people around you. And not everyone wants to see you evolve. End of part 1. Part 2, the dangerous side of success. Success didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived quietly. No dramatic movie moment. No overnight millionaire story. Just small changes stacking together until Victor barely recognized his old life. But growth creates a strange problem. The moment you stop living the same way, people start treating you differently. And Victor was about to learn that lesson brutally. 2 years after moving to Dallas, Victor became operations manager inside Elena's company. The promotion shocked everyone. Especially the older employees. Victor wasn't the most educated person there. He didn't come from money, didn't have connections. Didn't speak with polished corporate confidence. But he produced results. The company grew faster under the systems he helped build. Drivers wasted less time. Warehouses moved more efficiently. Profits increased. And Elena trusted him. That trust made others uncomfortable. Because many people respect struggle more than transformation. They liked Victor when he was exhausted. Not when he was evolving. One afternoon Victor overheard 2 employees talking near the break room. He got lucky. He just kisses management's ass. He thinks he's smarter than everybody now. The comments bothered him more than he expected. Because part of him still felt like the old Victor. The tired warehouse worker trying to survive. That night he sat alone in his apartment thinking about something dangerous. Maybe success costs loneliness. As your mindset changes, conversations change. Your priorities change. Your habits change. And slowly, the people around you either grow with you or become uncomfortable watching you grow. Victor hated that reality. The first time since moving away. Everything looked smaller somehow. The streets. The apartment building. Even the warehouse. But the memories still felt heavy. Marcus met him at the same diner where they once had that life-changing conversation. "You look different," Marcus said. Victor laughed. Hopefully in a good way. Marcus smiled. "No. In a peaceful way." Victor sat quietly after hearing that. Because peace used to feel impossible. During dinner, Victor confessed something. "I thought success would solve everything." Marcus raised an eyebrow. And Victor stared into his coffee. Now I just have different problems. Marcus laughed loudly. That means you're growing. Victor shook his head. I still feel pressure constantly. Bigger responsibilities. Bigger expectations. Bigger risks. Marcus nodded slowly. That never disappears. Then what's the point? Marcus leaned forward. The point isn't escaping pressure. The point is choosing a life where the pressure means something. Victor sat silent. That sentence changed him again. Because back at the warehouse, pressure only kept him alive. Now pressure was building something meaningful. The next morning Victor visited his old workplace. Nothing had changed. Same noise. Same exhaustion. Same defeated expressions. And suddenly he realized something heartbreaking. Most people there were not lazy. They were simply trapped inside survival mode. When survival controls your life, long-term thinking disappears. You stop asking how to grow. You only ask how to survive another week. Victor understood that deeply because he had lived it. That realization gave him a new purpose. Back in Dallas, Victor started mentoring younger workers inside the company. Not with fake motivational speeches. Not with empty, hustle culture, nonsense. He taught practical things nobody had taught him, learn skills that create leverage. Understand money. Build relationships carefully. Protect your mental health. Stop glorifying burnout. Work hard, but in the right direction. One employee named Jordan reminded Victor of his younger self. Always exhausted. Always volunteering for overtime. Always proud of suffering. One night Victor pulled him aside. You're working yourself into the ground, he said. Jordan shrugged. That's what successful people do. Victor shook his head immediately. No. That's what desperate people do. Jordan looked confused. Victor continued. Successful people build systems. Skills. Networks. Opportunities. Burned out people just trade health for paychecks. Jordan stayed silent. Because deep down, he knew it was true. Months later Elena approached Victor with another opportunity. Partnership. Not employment. Partnership. Victor almost couldn't believe it. The kid who once panicked over missing overtime hours was now being offered ownership in a growing company. But fear returned again, because every new level demands a new version of yourself. Victor spent weeks doubting himself. Then Elena told him something unforgettable. The reason most people stay stuck, she said, is because they wait until they feel ready. Victor nodded slowly. And successful people? They move before certainty. That became the final piece Victor needed. Years later, Victor stood on stage at a business conference in Atlanta speaking to hundreds of workers, entrepreneurs, and exhausted dreamers. He looked across the crowd and saw versions of his former self everywhere. Tired eyes. Heavy stress. Hidden fear. And Victor told them the truth nobody told him early enough. Hard work matters, he said. But hard work alone is not the answer. The room became silent. You can work 12 hours a day for 10 years and still stay trapped if you never change your thinking. People listened carefully. Success is not built only with effort. It's built with awareness. Victor paused before continuing. You need skills. Strategy. Relationships. Emotional control. Direction. And the courage to grow beyond the version of yourself that survival created. The audience remained completely still. Then Victor delivered the line that would later spread all over social media. Grinding without growth is just slow destruction. The room exploded into applause. But Victor wasn't smiling because of the applause. He was smiling because he finally understood something powerful. Success wasn't becoming richer. Success was becoming free. Free from survival mode. Free from constant panic. free from believing exhaustion equals progress. And that freedom changed everything. That night Victor walked alone through downtown Atlanta under glowing city lights, the same type of lights he once stared at hopelessly beside Lake Michigan years ago. Only now he understood life differently. Hard work is necessary. But if hard work is the engine, vision is the steering wheel. Without direction, even the hardest worker can spend years driving nowhere. Victor looked up at the skyline and smiled quietly. Because the man who once believed suffering automatically created success, had finally learned how to truly build a life.